pandemic trapped a bunch of aging role-playing gamers in their homes, forcing them to crawl out of their pen and paper comfort zone and into the online world of virtual tabletops and video calls. So join them as they raise the curtain to share their stories, insights, and love of all things geek. Welcome to the Advanced Age Role-Playing Gamers Podcast, assholes.
Hello and welcome to the Advanced Age Role-Playing Gamers Podcast with another installment of Meet the Cast. We want you to get to know our cast a little bit better, and what better way than to share some of their history with gaming and how it was played, a role in their lives. So without further ado, let's meet Matt, one of our hosts.
Hey, everybody.
So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, any nicknames you have, anything to...
let's not forget about your co-interviewer here. I'm in the corner, Sean. I'm just in the corner, quietly sitting here with my new mic headset and everything.
Where's that mute button? I gotta find that mute.
Yeah, just go ahead and mute it. Go ahead, mute me.
Okay.
I haven't said anything messed up yet, Nathan. You're prompting me. So go ahead, Matt. Why don't you tell us something about yourself, buddy?
All right, so I'm Matt McMullen, and I'm one of the co-hosts of AARPG. I got a gamer tag of Sergeant Splat, and that's about it.
Cool.
And I have probably many other unflattering nicknames.
And we're done. Thanks, Matt.
That's right.
Yep. That was good job. Good job.
That's it.
All right, so I guess I'll start off with the first question here. So, how old were you, and when did you, what system were you playing when you first started?
All right, so my introduction to role-playing games was around 1980. I don't really remember the exact year, so give or take a year. And my friend Matt Dema invited me to play a game called Dungeons & Dragons, and he had one of the early box sets. And so I rolled up a character and I played a game with him and a guy named Ralph, who we called Ralph the Indigestible, because he had gotten eaten by a Genatlas cube, and we rescued him. And he got eaten by a purple worm, and we rescued him. And we played. We didn't know the rules. We did it all wrong. We thought hit dice were hit points. So we killed the purple worm at first level because it only had 15 hit dice.
You're a mighty warrior.
Right. So, yes. So he became Ralph the Indigestible. But no, that was it. So that's about 40 years ago. And that was my first time playing was D&D.
Wow.
That's pretty interesting. I've never known anybody I've ever gamed with to actually be eaten by a gelatinous cube.
Yeah.
Ever. Yeah, because they're so slow. It's like, I have an attack. Why would you attack a gelatinous cube? Just walk away.
I think I almost got eaten in Malcolm's game, Gold Sparrow.
Oh, really?
You might have. I mean, I think a lurker above or beneath is a far more dangerous thing to attack you when you're lower level.
Yeah.
But anyway. So, what was your first character? And tell us a little about that character, if you can. Anything, peculiar or good, bad, the ugly, and how badly or you thought the character was supposed to be, and how badly you got it wrong.
All right. Well, so in keeping with not knowing the rules, so my first character wasn't very creative. It was Matt the Mighty, and he was a fighter. And
it's
Matt the Mighty. He was a fighter, and I played with my friend Matt Dema a few times, and then it kind of dropped off. So I basically just played on my own. Like I bought the little box set. I played on my own. I know. And so, but the early set only went to like third level. So It was like 2,000, 4,000, 6,000. And experience. And so I just figured, well, every level is just 2,000 experience points after that. And the way hit dice, I thought you rolled the number of hit dice per level. So like at first level, it was D8. At second level, it was 2D8. So needless to say, right. So fast forward about a year and a half after that, my buddy Eric decided, he tells us, he's an older kid, he's got a D&D game and he wants us all to play. And I bring my character sheet to him, and he looks at it for a few minutes. He goes, "What the heck?" Because I had a 32nd level fighter with like 400 hit points or something like that. And after he had first edition D&D books, so he had the actual hard books. And when we worked it all out, I was 6th level. So that was.
I still like the idea. You're like basically Thanos. Oh yeah, that's the mighty.
In my own mind, right? It was like 30.
Yeah.
So that was it. That was my first character, Matt the Mighty, the 32nd level fighter with like 400 hit points.
Christ. That sounds like something
It was
Roy would
completely
make.
wrong.
Yeah, like I'm of the school that as long as you're having fun, there's really well, I was about to say there's no wrong way to play, but I've heard of a game called Fatal, which I think is pretty wrong. If you guys haven't seen that, I'll share that sometime.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
Fatal.
but anyway. So out of everything you've ever played, what's your favorite game system?
My favorite game system. That's a tough one. So I mean, I would say that over the years, consistently, I've played Dungeons and Dragons. I really liked first edition D&D and 3.5, and I like 5th edition a lot. I like it because and to be honest, I like it because it's easy. I like it because it's got a lot of options. And so that's kind of been my standby. I really did so I have a lot of systems I really did like. So I really did like Palladium.
Mm-hmm.
I love the fact that in Palladium Rifts, you could have a party that has a colonist and a cosmonite. And they basically just said, fuck play balance. You can do whatever you want, right? And so there is some amazingness in that. And there's a whole group of people out there who still really like that idea of no rules. It just became tougher as I started to DM more. That wasn't as comfortable for me as a GM as I thought it was. So I think those are. And then right now I'm messing around with Starfinder, which is good. I like it. And it's not a bad system. It's not my favorite. Yeah.
Yeah, really?
Give you a hard time.
I would never guess that. How's Starship Combat in Starfinder, Matt? Yeah, let's talk.
Well, I like it, but it's got some issues, right? I think
it's hard to please everybody, but yeah.
Yeah,
it is.
right.
I think that if in a perfect world, you'd take little bits from different systems. So like 4th edition D&D, I thought had some interesting stuff, even though a lot of people didn't like it.
Yeah.
The updated Warhammer one that Nathan ran, I really liked the idea of like the stress, the party stress.
Yeah.
They had like that track in the Star Wars game that we played. I liked the idea of having dice that you could both succeed, but maybe something goes wrong. And so
fail forward.
Lots of little things.
I never got into the dice in that game. I have to say it right now. The Star Wars dice was the system. I liked the game. I liked some of the concepts of it. We were going, but the dice drove me crazy. I just couldn't get into the dice.
I guess I won't put that on my list of things I want to run later for the podcast.
No, listen, I'll soldier through it. Don't get me wrong.
Come on, Nathan. Yeah, come on, Sean. We got to be a bunch of we should all play like asshole stormtroopers.
Yeah, just like real asshole stormtroopers, like tripping kids going to get
fun.
Would
dark side
and then
game.
But the way Nathan runs it, he believes in consequences. We'd get attacked by Baby Yoda or freaking the Mandalorian would come in and kill us. Like, it's a Mandalorian. I'm a fan, please.
So think about it. Think of the games I've run for you guys recently, like Alien and that Warhammer game had the stress mechanic, and Star Wars had consequences.
I would have done the Warhammer game just because Warhammer is such a brutal universe. But that was before I was able to do that.
I've got that downstairs.
So Sean, if you never played, it was really cool. They had
I played
board.
Is it like the old Warhammer or is
it's similar. So I have the old Warhammer role playing, but Nathan had a new one, and it had like this little board, and like as things happened, he could like up the stress of the party, and it was like
party board.
Yeah,
that sort of makes sense because group combat or group tactics, and that is true. That it's your group stress will go up when certain things go down.
And there's things that the party could do depending on the type of party they chose. And so it was neat. It was like it was a little board gaming, a lot of little moving pieces, which kind of took away from it. But that was kind of where that was kind of their first try at the funky dice system where the Star Wars came into it. That was kind of their first try. And now they have this thing called Genesis, which is taking that and made it a generic role-playing system. But
okay.
I know this is all about Matt, but I do want to point out, I was like, Matt, I really want you to look at Stars Without Numbers sometime. I think you might.
Stars Without Numbers?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Matt, do you have a favorite character or characters, not Matt the Mighty? Do you have a favorite character or characters that you have played? Follow on if not already included in your answer. And why this character was so memorable to you, or somebody else's character. Doesn't have to be one of your characters.
No problem. So for favorite character, I'm going to go old. I'll go old way back first. So my favorite character that's kind of stuck with me forever, not going to be a surprise to anybody, is Grumesh, my half-orc assassin. That was my first, either first or most memorable from my college days at PG, and that was where I met most of everybody, and so that was kind of for me like the heyday of gaming, and so Grumesh was my favorite character. I really liked the concept, the story, and it was just different, right? It's like nowadays you play like a half orc, and it's just kind of like, oh look, you're a half orc, yay, right? Like no one cares. And it was like such a big deal back then. And so, all right, that was one of my favorite characters. And
why? Why was he your favorite?
I it's funny. I liked the fact that he had, it was sort of, I was younger. So like that tortured kind of character, right? Like the good guy, bad guy, like the Batman, the Wolverine, kind of character. And so he was dark, and he was evil. Right?
No, he was
sort of, and
he's evil.
He was a killer.
He was a killer,
right? And he's also the only. I think he's the only character I've ever played that has killed another player twice.
Yes.
Now I would say both times was due to the other player's actions and not mine.
I would argue with that a little bit, just a little bit. Not that you and some assistance from the other characters were doing stuff to set that up, because it was a personality conflict.
We may have touched on this a little bit in my interview where I
yes, you did. We did, actually.
So I would just say that, so the very first character I killed was the Paladin, right?
Yeah,
it was Marco's
which made
Paladin.
Absolute sense.
And Marco, I remember we were playing, he was on his horse, and he had that holy sword, and we were getting ready to fight the dragon. We were defending this town. There's a dragon coming. We need to be focused on that. And he's got that holy sword, and he looks at me, and he basically said, I'm going to kill you. Like, you're evil. I'm going to kill you. And it was that night that I got the old rules where you could do assassination rolls. So I tricked him, lured him into the alley, and killed him. And if I hadn't done it on a first roll, he probably would have died anyway, because both James's character and Nathan's character were there waiting for a Maso.
No, I remember that. I'm going, and I remember that.
And then the other guy was the one who we hadn't played in years, and we all got together at someone's apartment. I can't remember our house. I can't remember where we were.
You got to go back though. That's the win, but go back to the Y, which was at PG.
Yeah, why?
At PG?
Yeah. Do you? Because I told it from my point of view of why we killed him. Do you?
No, so from mine was that he threatened to kill me. He said he had his holy sword and said, "You're evil."
No, not Marco. Not Marco. I mean,
okay. So go forward, and we're playing it a few years. We're all back. I think I was back on leave from the army. We hadn't played in a while. We all got together at someone's house or apartment somewhere, and we're playing with this guy, Vaughn, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Vaughn's a good guy. He's fine.
He is a good guy.
But we were playing, and he hadn't played with us in this campaign. We ran this campaign for a very long time.
You're forgetting.
I don't
something.
think he played.
Yeah,
you are forgetting something.
Yeah, because the whole reason
we insulted.
Yeah, but that was at PG, and then we didn't kill him for until a year later.
Oh,
yeah, James wanted to kill him because he stole from him.
No, because we were sitting.
A ruthless group of people.
We were in that conference room at school, and we both stood up. Do you remember that?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I have the completely different memory. Yeah. So yeah, he had said something about my character's mother, right? And not knowing that Nathan and I's characters shared a mother,
there
right?
We go.
And
there we go.
Literally people in the room held their breath, right? It was like, and even though this is a game, right? And we were really we didn't personally take it, right? But it was like there's like this tension. And yeah, that was the fight where we were fighting the frost giants.
Yeah.
And I had Malcolm's character summon a fog. And in the fog, I assassinated his character. I almost killed his character back in PG because that was the one where I was at the door with the lock and I set off the poison gas trap, but I didn't breathe. And so he was at the end of the hall. He's like, what's going on? I'm like, hey, come on over. And he came over and he failed his saving throw. He started dying. I was like, ugh. And I drug him out and I didn't, but
should just let him die then.
That was the other one. But both times it's been because other people's actions. And that was kind of my last evil character too, I think. I don't think I've played an evil character since.
Now I remember that because, Matt, I remember being like, this isn't how I play D&D. We're not supposed to kill other party members.
Right. Yeah.
Because I was like chaotic good, I think. That was my favorite alignment, and I'm going, I don't know if I should be allowing this. Maybe I should do something, but then they'll kill me probably. And Malcolm will let them. So I just didn't know what to do. So I just sat back and stayed the fuck out of it, basically.
So I think there was that, and I liked the fact that he had the mask, and he had to hide the fact that he was half orc because it was a real stigma, right?
Yeah, back then,
there was that kind of love hate love between him and Malcolm's cleric, and stuff like that, right? So that was. Again, that was my favorite character.
That was before the orc civil rights movement when they got emancipated. So, I mean, I understand why you would hide your identity.
Well, right. I play a version of Grumesh now, like an alternate reality of him in a Starfinder game. And he's like a half orc. He's from a nice family. Nobody cares. It's just like, oh, you're a half orc. That's great. And it's not like, oh, your parents were, whatever.
You got weird teeth.
Yep. So that's my favorite back then. My favorite now has to be Darg. Darg the Bastard, the chaotic neutral fighter that first got life in Nathan ran a game many years ago. I think we were first level, went first to fourth level, right?
Yeah, something like that.
We were on an island or something like that.
Peninsula, but there's this weird dual deity thing I had going with the ocean and some weird stuff.
So Darg's my new favorite one just because he's like a mixture. I don't know what he's kind of crazy, right? He's like poor judgment, doesn't believe in personal belongings. He'll just give his wealth away.
He's like, I'm going to take this. So for the people watching, we play a game and we're playing playing the old D&D. We're in a giant's fortress, and he goes, "This carpet's amazing. I'm taking it with me back to my place." I'm like, "You're doing what?" Now I'm playing a Warforged, like a logical cleric, and I'm going, "What the hell are you doing?" He goes, "Listen, my friend, you got to help me take this carpet." I'm like, "We're in the middle of a battle. What are you doing?"
It was the naughty tapestry.
Yeah,
it was a naughty tapestry.
It was the naughty tapestry. He wanted the naughty tapestry.
Metal Man, you could go with these fine. I have no penis. Why do you not have a penis?
Yeah, Darg is both an idiot and a philosopher all at once.
Yes.
Right? So I thoroughly enjoy playing him. He's sort of my reckless.
I find him amusing.
Yeah. So that's it. Those are my two favorite. I've had several other favorites. Those two stand out.
That's fair.
Yeah. So why do you play role playing games?
All right, so why do I play role-playing games? I'd say a couple of reasons. One is, so I grew up, my mom, when I was little, read to me a lot. And she read to me when I was really little, like The Hobbit, The Lord of the Rings, some of the Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, just a few of the other. So I kind of had that love of fantasy and adventure and stuff like that kind of ingrained in me, and so I already loved all that stuff. And then when I found D&D, it was kind of like, oh my gosh, I can actually, I can write or be in my own story and kind of live these kind of alternate lives and stuff. And so it's a nice escape, but I just think it's fun. It's more interactive than a book, right? So like a book, you read it and it's already been written. You can enjoy it. I like reading, but being part of a story, writing it as a group of people all together, I think that's super cool. So that's why I like it. And
Well,
it's
that's
social.
cool.
It's social.
Yeah.
Well, it has
All
to
the
be.
times we've sat around until 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, just, at a Chi-Chi's or a Denny's or wherever the hell would let us stay, talking about stuff that wasn't even real, right? It was like
sliding
Wasting
pieces
our
of chocolate
lives.
cake underneath the table, and
yeah.
Oh, stupid. Well, rolling into that, how does real world experiences shaped how you play RPG, Mr. Chocolate Cake Under the Table?
Well, yeah, alcohol plays a lot of how. No, let's see, real life. I mean, I just think so. It depends on the game. So if I'm playing like D&D or something like that, right? Like I don't really fight dragons for real, so I don't have any experience. I would say, depending if we're playing more of a modern game or something. So I do have prior military experience, and I've done some traveling around the world, and so I kind of have that that vocabulary and some of those experiences that help me kind of as a player, sometimes as a GM, sort of in like military situations, but also not taking it too far because it is still just a game. But that's I think that's it. Just that's about it. I don't know, 40 years of life. I don't know, that's sort
cool.
of that kind of.
Remember, mine was all like about dark stuff because I've seen so much, the worst of people, but I've seen the best. So I get it. It's based on what you do. I think all we do is based on what you do. Some of us bring something to the table, something different.
Yeah, and it changes. I mean, like my attitudes and the things that I will watch or not watch. Like I used to watch a lot of horror movies when I was younger. I don't watch horror movies anymore. Anything with kids, I'm kind of like, Once I had kids, it kind of changed sort of things.
Not me, man. Texas Chainsaw Massacre too.
So, I mean, no, I think that's it. There's just everything that you've done or experienced kind of builds in on your how you look at the game, how you look at problems. So again, my work, I deal a lot with problem solving. So, and that's another thing I like about gaming is problem solving.
Yeah,
never happens.
That's sort of what I do. I fix problems by today. Well, I won't get into that. Anyway,
so what do you think? So we all know that there's a lot more like gaming stores now than when we were growing up, and there's streaming and podcasts and everything else. So why do you think they're so popular? Role playing games. Why do you think they're so popular today?
So I think they've like almost all things geek. They've kind of come to the forefront of being. So part of it, geeks become cool, right? So, think of things like Comic-Con and all that 20, 30 years ago, right? It was just the diehards, right? Gen Con is like I've never been, but it's packed, like it's crazy. So I think that, things like, Harry Potter, the Lord of the Rings movies, and just culturally. So it's in the forefront of the culture right now. It's very popular. But I think at the heart of it, that's not enough to keep people. I think the reason that when people get brought on board who've never played before and do it is that ever since we sat around fires, literally with little, cave sticks and stuff, we've been storytellers. We're a species of storytellers. We we passed our history down in stories. We tell stories around the campfire. We get together, we tell stories. And so I think that's what it is, because that's what role playing is. It's a collective storytelling. So I think that's why it's popular. It's just ingrained in us.
That makes sense. People like stories and talking to stories, and that's why I think Nathan likes GMing so much, because he has these screwed up scenarios he wants to throw us into all the time, and just drop things off. It's like,
I don't see that.
I'm never gonna forgive you for the elephant basically hiding on the elephant alien hiding on the ceiling that dropped down.
That's right.
That we missed.
You've never watched an alien movie before. Come on.
I have watched alien movies before, but the aliens I have seen are all slender and svelte and sneaky. You basically had a rhino standing above us and just dropped down, like Batman. So, but So we talked about this, and with everybody, you've asked the same question. So it's the pandemic and how it changed how you. I'm going to expound on this question. How has it changed how you game, and what benefits do you think we've gotten from gaming out of the pandemic?
I mean, my answer is probably going to be pretty similar to other folks. So I'm gaming more now than I have for years. Up to the point where I almost have to be like, okay, I mean, I'm getting a little too close to too much gaming. But I know that's blasphemy, right? Can't no. Right. There's no such thing as too much gaming. But there's too much gaming and a job and a family. Right.
Just joking.
So
as long as I take out the trash, I'm good.
Right. But no, I think it's made me be more consistent. I've also liked the opportunity to learn some of the technology that I think we had tried before. Like years ago, we tried to do not Roll20, but there was another software program. I thought, well, maybe it was
no, it's Roll20, but paired with some Google Hangouts thing.
And you've done a superhero thing, Matt. You had some sort of system you used for characters to log in, but I never got into it because my computer sucked.
Right. We had a few different things that we tried to do. And so I've really enjoyed seeing how this has put a spotlight on those companies. And so the technology is better. There's more resources. I actually find it like I'm wrestling with post-COVID that as much as I like seeing people and getting together, when I look at how we're all sort of geographically separated, even the people who live within the same little tri-state area, or two states and one that should be, is you're asking someone to drive, an hour or so to your house, stay for several hours, and then drive home with all the drunks and the crazy, now we can get together, we can play, and then, we can play more because you just turn it off and you go to bed, and so I'm wondering how much I even want to go back. And as the VTTs get better and better, the gaming experience becomes better. I don't know. I want to go back and play some live in-person games with people for sure. I'm looking forward to another geek weekend. But I don't know. I don't know if I want to go back 100% to when this is done.
Well, I don't know how Nathan feels, but we're not, because we're going to do the live thing. You did also and Nathan also noticed probably as well that you made 495 sound like the Mad Max Beyond the Funk of Thunderdome chasing people. We've all discussed that actually. I thought Nathan expounded real well in his thing, and I did as well. I think this has helped me a lot because there's no goddamn way I could have been able to do this.
No,
like you said, there's no way. I think it's like Kupo. Tony's in Jersey, for God's sakes.
Right.
Chris is above Baltimore toward Aberdeen, and there's just no way, I mean, we could do this in live, but it would be three of us with you. It would be Nathan, me,
right,
and Tier, basically, and we'd have to bring somebody else in, whoever that would be.
Yeah, this opens it up for any of our friends, right?
Yeah.
Wherever they've moved, right?
Yeah. Well, then we could do like
time zone
hybrid situations where you have some people local and some people up on a TV. Kind of like what we tried to do with the Star Wars thing.
Or we could do live occasionally.
I definitely want to do some live because I just want to hang out with you guys. But
the other thing is people who are on. I've found people who are on the screen are more of a disadvantage than people in live. Because you get talked. I don't know anybody successfully. I like to see somebody successfully manage that, and Nathan, and see how they overcame that. Unless we put shock collars on all of us, and when the person on the screen wants to speak, they hit a buzzer. We're like,
right, shut the hell up, people. Right, yeah.
Shut the hell up, John, stop.
So I have my own question here. So out of all the DMs that you played with. Since high school, who's your favorite?
Who's my favorite DM? Oh, there we go. So this is a loaded question, right?
Is it Nathan?
He's our DM for our first game.
Make up somebody.
I love this.
It's here.
You know what? I'm going to give a politically correct answer. What I'm going to say is basically for some of the game systems is no. So I've got for my GMs, I've got primarily I've had a few, but 3 basic GMs that Lee Bacon, right? And so what's funny is that for Lee, there were some aspects I didn't like, but I really liked his story, and I thought he was a good GM, and he was like my first like real adult kind of GM. Like when I go back to Eric and the guys who ran stuff when I was a kid, like that, we probably all just muddled through. I like Lee, what he did. I like Malcolm as a storyteller because he paints very beautiful pictures. I just sometimes find that, after an hour and a half of describing what's for dinner at the banquet, it's like, okay, let's go, let's roll some dice, right?
But she's been drinking now. Come on.
But right. And so he's painted some beautiful worlds like the Gold Sparrow world and the Robotech world. And I didn't even play in any of the other science fiction saga games that you guys did.
The Heroes game was amazing. Yeah,
right. Heroes, right? Yeah. So
yeah, the Heroes, and he did a good job with that. He had great villains. He develops great characters with great stories.
He does.
So that's the strength of his. That's a strength.
Yeah, and then not sucking up, but I've also played a lot with Nathan, and so I like Nathan's GMing. And so what I like about Nathan's GMing, well, it is that idea of like what's that being John Malkovich, right? So there is something to be said about having a GM who's a little crazy and likes to do weird shit to people, right? So there's something to be said, right? Because you're not quite sure what's going to happen. Lee, planned out, Lee, very steady. Malcolm's got his things. It's the chaotic neutral GM, right?
It's my favorite alignment.
I agree with you, and you hit just about to say when I spoke, my frustration was Lee was like he had great worlds with great characters, but it was sometimes for me too structured. Right. And for me, based on my personality, I would get just bored, distracted. I just didn't care anymore. And you shouldn't be that way. And I couldn't get involved with that. But sometimes Lee was dead on. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes I really enjoyed it. But that was the one failing I sometimes had with Lee. Malcolm, I love Malcolm's gaming when he was really into it. And we had the right size group. It was great. And if, I just felt that I loved his, like you said, I just loved he just built this world.
Yeah.
And that was amazing.
I think I love Malcolm as a DM, and I think he really shines when he's got like a smaller group. When you get because everybody wants to be in Malcolm's game, so when you have 20 people, it's a lot harder for him to kind of give everybody the kind of the individual attention, and some people just grab more attention than others.
Some people take advantage. Like Malcolm's if anything, the only failing I could say is he'll let people take their vision too far sometimes for a character. To a point it unbalances the game.
I don't have that problem.
I know you don't. But the best thing ever, Sir Malcolm said he had 2 games in Gold Sparrow. He had us who were underpowered, and he had this one group that a certain person we know did something that was within the rules, and Malcolm being fair allowed it to happen, but it overpowered the group. And the group's problem was, this is an interesting problem for a group to have. They would sit there and they had so much cool shit. They would spend half the session figuring out which cool things they would use in the fight. We would go, okay, what are we going to do? I'll shoot him, and then you hit him with an arrow, and you hit him with a club. And that would be our plan. And Malcolm would go, God, you guys are amazing. You're getting so far ahead so fast. Well, what's wrong with the other group? Well, they got too much stuff. You guys can't really do anything. So basically he said we're underpowered punks, but somehow we got everything done. Nathan, you are a little fucker, Nathan. but I like what you run. But you run off. The thing I really love about Nathan, and I do mean this, he brings so many different systems that I'm like, what the hell is this, Nathan? No, you're going to like it. Really, it's cool. It's got this and this and this. And I'm like, all right, when we try it, most of the time I agree with them. And, and Matt, I say you're sort of blended. I mean, because really, as gaming masters go, you're junior to all of them, right? So you picked up from each of them because you do build a very detailed world.
Yeah.
And like the first time you ran Rifts and you had this whole storyline, I was going, God damn, what the hell, man? This guy built a whole fucking novel world. He's got, and then you let us do some stuff. You did a little bit of Nathan. You did some fuckery like Nathan does if we did something, but not as bad because you're not as, not there. You don't have that sense of humor. But but I think that when I see you, you talk about Lee, and you got a little bit of all of that, plus your own weird effed up mad sense of humor you throw into it sometimes. Like when you had the robot come up in like the pleasure robot, and I had my character, the Warlock Marine, and it's like, hello, and you made him Dieter, and you made him pick hit on him just because. I'm like, hi, Dieter, hello, Captain Locke, hello, I am Dieter. You like my man-thon? I'm like, no, why are you bothering me? Just because. It wasn't part of the plot. You just got this idea and you ran with it the whole freaking game. And I was just like, geez, like Nathan would just do something different, but you did the simple guy joke and you ran with it the whole time.
So I would say it is a challenge as a GM for me, right? Because like I have like stories I want to tell, and I know that I have to balance between the railroad, right, too hard of a sidecar, but giving some freedom without it just turning into craziness. One of the things you're forgetting, Sean, is I don't remember. So in the original Rifts game, we played on April Fools. We actually had a game session on April Fools.
Yes.
Before we got
epic.
together, I had contacted all the other players except Sean. And each player had some weird devolving behavior that they had to play and do. And basically, over the course of the night...
Were you in on that too, Nathan?
No.
Oh, God, you would love this.
Yeah.
This is right up your alley.
Right. So, this is truly a Nathan move. I had contacted everybody, like, by phone, because that's what you had to do. So everyone had, like, this alternate personality kind of thing they were doing. And everyone knew but Sean, and the whole evening just descended until the end. Weren't you guys all like larvae crawling around?
No. What happened was we were fighting, and our late friend Leroy had a juicer, and he was cracking up. I just thought his character was cracking up, and I'm like, well, he's a member of the team. He killed one of the people employed, and they were these chicken people, and I'm like, I figured Matt's doing some weird Easter thing. All right, I'm gonna go with it. It's gonna lead us somewhere. He's still pissed at me because we didn't do the other adventure. Let's just go with it because I was the leader, right? Greg had the costume night, and he started hitting on everybody.
Right. He was the lecherous
I'm like, what the hell? And Lee was the best because he was the perfect straight man. He started like flirting with machinery. And then at the end, he started trying to have sex with a toaster. Leroy just starts killing things. And then I'm like,
weren't there like these like baby like worms with like little baby faces or something?
Yeah, they were little egg creatures, and he just starts getting the chainsaw. I'll take it, and I'm like, no. And then Greg just stops and goes, wait, I've had enough. This is enough, Matt. I'm done with this. I'm going. Oh, thank God. Greg's going to step up. He goes, it's okay. I take the such and such into my arms, and it was Pam, and we start making love, and I'm like, and that's where I went. And then I said, Matt goes, oh, and then the roof rips off and a giant chicken saying cluck cluck. I go, this is the complete bullshit. That's what I said. This is complete bullshit. And then he said April Fool's. I said, God fucking damn it. And I said, then I asked her, I said, do we get the money? And he said, what? I said, you said we're going to get money. I want money. But it was amazing. So if anybody's listening to this is why I'm such an asshole in the game. Shit like this happens to me all the time. Because people like fucking with me because I fuck with them, and I probably deserve it. So, But it's always a good fun. But I love that.
I had forgotten about that.
That's great.
I did
that's
too.
A great story.
I should have brought it up in my thing. It's legendary. It's probably the best gaming prank that's ever been done to me. I got to be honest. It's the best, craziest thing that's ever been done to me. All right. So we talked about what you're playing and running right now. You sort of touched on that with some of the games you're running. You talked about the Rifts game, which is now in Dark Ages, and which we actually talked about on our podcast. But tell us what you're running right now.
Yeah, so I'm running the sequel to my Rifts game, and I went through a big kind of trying to find the right rule system because I didn't want to do Palladium again. So first I was going to use D20 Modern and Sci-Fi, and then I found the Savage World rules, and they had an entire Rifts thing, and the group started playing it. I could not, I was not comfortable with that rule set, the exploding dice. I thought that they did a very good job capturing the feel of being over the top. I thought that was cool, but I didn't. So then I found Starfinder. So I'm running it in Starfinder. I'm also playing. Another thing from not so much the pandemic, but right before the pandemic, I started listening to podcasts for the first time, like real play podcasts, which kind of gave me the idea. But I also started playing play by post. So I do a lot of Starfinder Society and now Pathfinder Second Edition Society, but I do it all on Discord and play by post. And it's great because I started doing it when I was still at work and busy and taking the kids everywhere. So it's great. I'd be sitting in a waiting room or, hanging out somewhere, and I could just pop open my phone, check to see if anything was in, write a little move, and be done. And so play by post really works for me as kind of like background gaming. It's not as engaging as real gaming, but it's fun. It's a nice distraction. And so that and that's really, and I just started this week running the Starfinder game. I'm running my group for all the way back to the beginning with another group of people. So that's what I'm doing right now. And I'm playing in podcasts. I'm playing with Nathan we did the Aliens. So really getting into the Free League system. They're, what's it called? Mutant Zero system? Or?
No, it's Year Zero. I don't know.
Year Zero.
No, I'm like, I don't even know, but.
Well, I'm enjoying their system. It's fairly simple. And so I really liked the Aliens, and I think I'm really going to like Twilight 2000.
Cool. So I think we're coming up towards the end here. Is there anything else you want to share with our listeners / watchers?
No, I think just I think that a mix of things from like the pandemic and some of the things that happened last year really got all of us thinking about this podcast thing. And I don't know about everybody. I'm really excited about it. I've had a lot of fun gaming with this group. I've had a lot of fun learning, like how to set up stuff. And I know Nathan has done like a Herculean effort as our audio person, but I'm really excited about this. This is like probably the coolest thing. I haven't had like a real cool, fun hobby that actually produced anything for a while. So I'm pretty excited. So I hope folks enjoy it. And I look forward to playing with everybody and, just having a good time, basically doing the same thing we always do, but just recording it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we all agree, and Nathan knows enjoy it. We all enjoy it. I think it's a good idea that you and Nathan had, and I think it's worth it. I mean, like I said, I think me and Tier Park been talking for a while we've been talking about doing a regular podcast, this talking before all this took off. And, it's something I'd rather do in person, obviously, would have guests come sit down. I just think that's more. So that's, and as I said, I'm using this when I do it to do it right. So I'm learning. So I'm trying to get the right equipment.
You'll have the right gear.
Yeah. And you can be like a guest, and we can talk about how great your podcast and how we have 3 million followers. And, you're driving your new Tesla. But on that, so this will wrap up this session of the cast. And thank you, Matt, for sitting down and sharing your personal gaming story with us. And thanks again to the listeners and tuning into Advanced Age Role Playing Gamers podcast. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and play games. And remember, kids, brush your teeth, get your COVID shots. Don't be an anti-vaxxer, and take care of yourselves. Be safe.